Simone Inzaghi has turned Inter Milan into an absolute machine. 27 games played with 23 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat. Looking like they may qualify for the quarterfinals of the Champions League after leading Atleti 1-0 after the first leg, a game that they should have scored at least 3 or 4. And if I take you back to this game, the Champions League final, when they lost to Manchester City, you would think it would be a Manchester City dominant performance. However, if we look at the statistics from the game, 1-0 City, an XG of 0.64 for City compared to the 1.29 of Inter Milan. If you remember, Lukaku came on, missed a big header. I think Di Marco had a couple of headers as well, really big chances. 14 efforts on goal compared to City 7. Pass possession 55 to 45, which we're going to talk a little bit about Inter Milan and how they can change styles. But just a little bit to show you of how close they were actually winning that trophy and kind of the trajectory that they've then gone on. If you think of other teams that have kind of peaked at a Champions League final, in particular Spurs, going in as underdogs, how Inter Milan have managed then to carry it on and probably get even better. It's the unpredictability of Inter Milan which is making them really difficult to break down. Either, pressing high against them will beat you in behind, or even then how to get past low blocks, in particular using little scenarios like this, where we've got the 3 centre-halves, one there in Benjamin Pavard, the left centre-half in Bastoni, and De Vrij moving into midfield, with the 2 midfielders in Barella and Hakan Çalhanoğlu, who's kind of playing as a little bit of a sitter now, number 6. How they're rotating and making space, and with these 3 centre-halves, dragging players out of the way, creating space, having the bravery in-game to attack a space regardless of what position you are on the pitch. And if we look at their total shots, set piece shot, number 1. Second for open play shots. The best defence, that is shots from open play. They've got the highest in terms of passes per sequence. And the flip side of that, they're also leading the race in terms of direct attacks. So they're combining sort of like patient build-up play with direct attacks. Now, what they're trying to do, Inter Milan, is try and create a little bit of space in behind. With playing with that front 2, they're wanting to create space in behind. And we're going to kind of try and work with that in the tactic and see how they're doing it. Now, if we compare what's called a field tilt, so this is touches in the final third compared to your opponent. So it's a little bit way of looking at possession, but missing out that middle third where there's a lot of sideways and sort of like lateral passes. So this here is Xabi Alonso's Leverkusen. As you can see, the lowest is around 40 and the highest is 88.25. That's a big number. But as you can see, the middle trend here is anything between 73, 75 to sort of like mid-50s, early 60s. Manchester City's, apart from a couple of other ones where they didn't really perform the game against Arsenal in particular really poor, theirs is up and around the high 60s and 70s. Where if we look at Inter Milan's, theirs goes from game to game. They've got a field tilt here of 27.91, so 28%. That was against Fiorentina in a game that they won 1-0. They then flipped it a couple of weeks later with a field tilt of 91%. So the amount of touches in each final third, 91% of those touches were by Inter Milan. Absolutely incredible that they can change from game to game. This one here, match day 4, 36 field tilt against Milan. I think the score was, what was the score? It was either 4 or 5. There you go. It was 5-1. So they're managing to win in different ways, which makes them extremely dangerous. So in FM terms, this is what I've come up with. Now, this tactic is absolutely flying. It's been an incredible start to the season. As you can see, we've had a really good start, a really tough start. We had Lazio at home, Juventus away, AC at home, and then the Roma away. We've absolutely smashed Barcelona 6-1 in our opening game of the Champions League as well. So a really, really impressive start. So the tactic is available for my patrons. I am going to go through all the player and team instructions. So if you want to watch the video, muchly appreciated, and copy them as you go. Absolutely, I'm going to do everything for you, including a couple of opposition instructions. However, if you do want the file as a direct download and all the previous files that I have done on all the other tactics on the channel, please check out the Patreon. Muchly appreciate if you go check it out. Right, So what we're trying to do is create space in behind. It's very important. So they cross early. They're liking Martinez and Thuram. Thuram in particular, trying to get in behind a little bit more, with Martinez kind of not floating, but dropping off into this space that's being created by Thuram. Now, I've put Thuram as a complete forward. We'll talk about that and probably a couple of tweaks that you might want to do yourselves. Sweeper keeper on support, Yann Sommer. It would have been sweeper keeper on attack if it was Onana. However, pass length in terms of goal kick length is quite short. They're obviously trying to build out from the back. I don't need him necessarily to be over hitting. We're going to play a little bit of a direct style to get the ball forward quickly, but we don't want it to be long. That's the thing. I think they're rated the lowest for long passes. There's a good example. Build up, goalkeeper, long ball, 29% compared to the league average 48th, ranked 20th. So definitely a team that are wanting to build out from the back. So Yann Sommer, sweeper keeper on support, no player instructions. Now the back three is an interesting one. And I'm going to talk about some changes, when they're playing against a bigger side, not a bigger side, but maybe a big side in the league, one of those big important games, playing in Europe, perhaps a little bit more reserved. However, when they played Atleti, because Atleti like to sit in, be compact, really difficult to beat, it's very important to create these runs from the defenders to open out some space. They also do it as well to allow their key players, their ball players, the Hakan Çalhanoğlu, Barella, to get on the ball in deeper areas and allow the Bastonis and even Pavards at times to occupy the higher positions, so like the 8 position, so we get them playmakers on the ball. Now, that's going to be really difficult to sort of like get going on a regular basis in FM, but we do see it. We also often see DiMarco as well, pretty much looking like a left winger, a left forward. So what we're going to do is with this back three, we've kind of got it a little bit isometrical times. I've tweaked in games a little bit, depending on how we're doing and how we're sitting in, and if we're holding on to a lead or we're chasing or trying to chase a winner, I'll change it regularly because that's what they do. Benjamin Pavard, like if you think of a wide centre-back, right-back, Benjamin Pavard, absolutely perfect for this position. So I've got him as a wide centre-back on support. Now, De Vrij is an interesting one because, like, out of possession, he often comes in here because they sometimes do a man-to-man press with Barella going and chasing down and maybe a back three. If the opposition are playing with a back three, Barella will go in here. He's quite happy to go mark the back three, and then you'll have the wing-backs pushing up, you'll have the midfielders going for man, and then what they'll have is, with the spare man, because Barella's gone out, you'll often get De Vrij going into here, marking one of the other midfielders and leaving Bastoni and Pavard back. Now, the natural maybe inclination would be to maybe go libero. However, it doesn't work because we're trying to do that out of possession. If we had him as a libero, he would be stepping in here, which you could do. I haven't trialed it yet, but there is maybe a scenario where in possession, to get those runs with I showed you the Atleti clip, of having De Vrij move into these areas, you could go libero. However, I do think it will leave us it really, really open. And whether the FM defenders click on that De Vrij's gone in and hold their runs is another option. I would rather keep a little bit of a basic shape. So I've gone with him as a ball-playing defender on cover. The left-hand side, we've got Bastoni. Now, he offers, if we look at his heat map, absolutely incredible. Sometimes it looks like a left winger. Now, I'm not sure if he's been injured or what the last couple of weeks, but they have actually played. Carlos Augusto has played a lot of the games. He played in the week against, Genoa, played as the left centre-half, and if you look at him, he's a left winger. He's a left full-back. Can do a half a job, but they've been using him in there as well, so they've got a really attacking threat. And then what that's doing is, because Bastoni is coming into these areas, it's allowing DiMarco to get extremely high, and they end up at times looking a little bit like a front three, and he's often getting in. I think he's already scored sort of like 4 goals and 4 assists for the season or something like that. He's up and around this area here a lot, and that's because of the role of Bastoni. So wide centre-back on attack for Bastoni. I've left that on a regular basis. Yes, towards the end, if we need to hold out a win, we've not had that Yeah, we've been quite comfortable in a lot of games, but I would maybe look at altering that, depending on the game state, maybe on centre, on support, or even defend if we're just trying to play out the last few minutes. Okay, now the wing-backs, once again, is an interesting one. It's hard to get right. Depending on the personnel, it changes. Obviously, Dumfries is very different to a Darmian. Darmian will still try and get forward, but doesn't offer that attacking threat, but I have gone with Dumfries because he's absolutely fantastic in the game. Wing back on attack for him, he's not so much a drifter. He likes to obviously keep the width, and he's an extreme outlet once again. When there's build-up on the left-hand side, with a Martinez coming in, we might have Thuram stretching the play. We'll have DiMarco in the attacking areas, maybe Bastoni in here. The defenders moving around. It's sort of like these positions around here. It then offers that space, and they'll have to attack that space. So with that, we've got Dumfries as a wing-back on attack. The left-hand side's a little bit different. Like DiMarco, because of the movement of Bastoni, I've gone complete wing-back, and I've decided to change it just because of the roam from position. Because you often see him into these areas, and as you can see from him so far, 8 assists and 2 goals. What we've managed to do with this goal that DiMarco scores, it's similar to what we spoke about with the Dumfries option on the other side. However, look where he is. The player's been sucked over to this side, and it gives us the option to get a switch in, and we work the ball across. We've not got anyone tracking him. We've sucked the defenders in. I think the 2-man strike force is absolutely key. If we just bring it back, because what it does is it opens space out wide. So there is Barcelona's back four, João Cancelo, we've got Araujo, and we've also got Christensen and Alonso. Obviously, the 2-man strikers are causing an issue. They're kind of pinning the defenders back a little bit. We've also got Mkhitaryan moving into that little bit of a half space, that attacking 8 position. Yes, we get a little bit of a look, but because of the danger and the overloads we've made in the centre of the pitch, it's created this space out wide. And what DiMarco often does, he starts his runs quite late, and he runs past and tries to catch out them lazy wingers. If he does it too early, and he does it maybe 10 seconds earlier, if he does it in this position now, it'll probably mean Rafinha would come in. However, he leaves it late and he waits, look, and then he sees his opportunity. At that point now, Rafinha is not going to catch up with him, and he's in on goal and he scores. These are often not always shots, but cutbacks, little squares, little passes across the area, little crosses, low crosses in particular. So with that, complete wing-back on attack for DiMarco. Now, the only little thing is, in build-up, they do like to build with a back four, and Pavard kind of moves to a right-back, De Vrij and Bastoni centre-halves, with DiMarco is helping him build up, and then that allows Dumfries to be a lot higher. We can't get that balance. You could maybe put it on support. I'd be interested to see how many times he actually attacks the box on support. So something, if you want to create that little bit more of the build-up that they have. Having said that, the build-up that I've seen with the complete wing-back, it doesn't necessarily get too high, in as if they're pinning back the full-backs into sort of like wingers positions, both sides. If the ball is worked out to the left, he's very much helping him build up. Now, what we have on both sides, and I've done for a couple of games, is mark-specific position, a mark-specific player. I've put here right back, and on Dumfries, left back. Now, we only do that when we're really trying to go for it. So when we're expected to dominate games, we're really going for it. You know, the game that we've just played here and against Lecce and Empoli, not against Barcelona, we've tried to pin their defenders back. It's something that they like to do. They like to press heavily in the right situation. So once again, take that on and off as you go. There's a lot of different things that you need to change to get the Inzaghi kind of, not pragmatism, but how he sets himself up against different opponents and how they press, in particular with the use of DiMarco and Dumfries, and I'll talk about Barella in a bit. Right, moving into the number 6, obviously they lost Marcelo Brozovic. Money situations was an issue, so they didn't have the money after signing sort of like Pavard and getting Thuram through the door and a couple of youngsters. They didn't have any money really to replace Brozovic, but what they have done is allowed Hakan Çalhanoğlu, who's into his latter stages of career, who's maybe not got, you know, the physical, the pace to be them really bright, wide, maybe attacking number 10, number 8 players. They've allowed him just to sit in there and spray these balls. Once again, we're trying to exploit that space in behind, not only for the strikers, but for the wing-backs as well. So there's often little switches of play out here. I wish there was a thing we could do on here to encourage switches of play. You can obviously do it in the player traits and ask them to do a trait, but it'd be nice, You know, it doesn't need to be a trait. It needs to be something that your manager wants you to do. So it'd be nice if FM could kind of put that in, encourage certain players to do switches because he's so good at it. He's so good at switching it. So we've gone Register with the thing of dribble more because he's still an attacking player. We still want him to carry. The one downfall of Inter Milan is the midfield three when they get caught in possession, because Hakan are generally, like, not all the time, but when he does get forward, they'll often get caught out with that big hole in midfield. If you want him to change it up a little bit, you could by all means take that dribble more off, but I do want him to carry when the opportunity works. Maybe a little 1-2, third man run, and then he can drive the ball forward into midfield, so into the final third. So I've got him as a Register. Now, these two, I think, are very open, depending once again on the opponent, who you're playing. Like if we look at Barella's heat map, very wide. Could it be a Carrilero? Could it be a Mazzala? But what I've gone is, I've gone box-to-box midfielder with dribble more, get further forward, move into channels, and tackle harder. With the other player marking position, if they're building with a back three, I would have Martinez marking the left centre-half, I would have Turan marking the middle centre-half, and I would Barella pressing in there, marking that left centre-half. You're going to do a big press against a team with a low block. That's what they do, and they press up really aggressively. So that is an option. But for Barella, and depending on what team you are, like Barella can do it all. We know he can do it all in terms of the midfield roles. But I've just gone box to box, just so we got that little bit of action from him, that general absolutely everywhere. You know, we're not going to find him too much in here that we do kind of in the game, in real life, them couple of sort of like screenshots that I showed you. But that is for you to change. I've just gone box to box, so we kind of get that cut and thrust in and around these half spaces, bursting into the box. Mkhitaryan, very similar. Look at his map, often drifts out to the left. So once again, Mazzala. What I'm not getting is kind of those drifty kind of eights, you know, them Phil Fodens or them De Bruynes and Bernardo Silvas where they look for the half spaces. They're very direct. These midfielders are very direct and like to burst through lines when they get the opportunity. So for Mkhitaryan, I've gone central midfielder on attack with the instruction, stay wider in possession, just so he works in these areas a little bit as well. Front two has been quite a difficult one because Martinez is exceptional. He does like to work off the left and likes to sort of like drop in a little bit. Thuram, on the other hand, is very much like a modern day target forward. But the one thing I don't like with the target forward is sometimes it could be a little bit static. By all means, you could put it on target forward and you could do move into channels. You could do that, no problem. I think anything between that, complete forward, which is a role that I love in the game, and it suits him quite well because often he drops in. You'll find him out wide. He'll act as like a poacher, a number 9. He likes generally to stretch the player and pin the defenders back. From that then, if he pins the defenders back, it gives the opportunity for then Martinez to work inside. And I think I've got a heat map to show you. And if we take a look at this passing network from the first half against Salernitana, as you can see, he's pinning the defenders right back and allowing, look at that, it's not obviously the space, but he's giving, if Marcus Thuram's getting marked, the midfielders in Hakan and Mkhitaryan and Barella are going to occupy those midfielders, so Lautaro Martinez, he's finding a lot of space. From that, they will then build up with some quick passes, some 1-2s, some give and goes, some forward runs from maybe a DiMarco or Bastoni, and then they try and exploit any space that they've got in behind. So from that, you could change it to everything else. I just didn't want to go DLF because once again, I think you lose that intensity that we get from Lautaro. Okay, so that is the team instructions. I've gone through some of the opposition instructions as well. So depending on who you're playing and what you've been doing, we've been changing a few things. Generally out of possession. The in possession hasn't really changed, but we're going positive mentality. Fairly wide attacking width, nothing too crazy. Pass into space. We want to exploit any spaces that have been left. That doesn't mean a long ball into the channels. It might mean a pass into space for maybe Bastoni to go into this half space. It might be a clip for someone to run onto a Mkhitaryan and a Barella. What I mean by that is just a forward pass and for someone to break through. So we're getting the forward runs. So we're going to look at Barella here. Because Dumfries is keeping the width, look at the space now it's created. So Barella's already on the turn. That box-to-box midfielder, that real threat in behind. And it's just a clip. And he's just going to exploit the space left by, because Dumfries is keeping the width, it's left that little half space. And once again, we've got a little bit of chaos with them two strikers kind of pinning back the centre halves a little bit. And it allows Barella to get in behind. So it's not a long kick. It's a pass into space. Playing out from the back, yes, absolutely, with the instruction of slightly more direct. We're doing that because we want to encourage those passes a little bit more. I think if we had it on shorter, there'd be a little bit more lateral play, a little bit more safe play, and we want to get that ball and exploit the space in behind. We want Martinez, Thuram, Dimarco, Barella, Mkhitaryan, Dumfries moving into those any spaces that have been left. Low crosses, lots of crosses, hit early crosses. And what we're trying to do, once again, we're trying to exploit that space in behind the defenders. So if Dimarco's maybe in here and the strikers are maybe in here, we've got that little bit of space to whip a ball round for them to attack. They're often attacking balls with defenders running back towards their own goal. Defenders are happy defending when they're set in their positions here in the box and they can head it. What they don't like is balls getting fed in between sort of like them and the goalkeeper for them to chase onto. That's what Inter Milan, in particular, Dimarco on this left-hand side, extremely good at. Play for set pieces, absolutely massive set pieces. You know, they've got some brilliant free kick takers. They've got Lautaro, who's a brilliant poacher. Thuram, good in the air. Pavard, De Vrij, Bastoni, whoever, Acerbi, whoever plays there, really good at attacking set pieces. In transition, counter press, yes, there's a big thing on that, in particular because of the rotations that they do. When there is a loss of possession, it's important to win back the ball quickly because they're not going to be able to regroup and shuffle back in because of the left back because this left centre-half might be playing as a left wing. If there's a breakdown in possession, it's natural to go and win that ball back. So counter-press, yes, they've obviously got good counter-pressers as well. Martinez, Thuram, Mkhitaryan, Barella, all superb in those higher areas. Counter-attacking, yes, because we want to exploit that space in behind that we keep saying. Distribute the ball to the centre-halves and take short kicks because remember the lowest number in terms of long kicks from the goalkeeper in Serie A. Now, out of possession, I have been changing. So we've pretty much done against the bigger sides, not the bigger sides, I keep saying that, but the other sides, Lazio, Juventus, AC, Roma, the away games, we've gone with high defensive line and a mid-block. The mid-block, so we can create that space in beside. You know, if you think of Barcelona, they're going to try and squeeze up to the halfway line. So we want to try and get and create the opportunity to counter-attack in behind. What we don't want is to press high and teams play around us, which sometimes can happen in FM. So I found this as well as a really good chance then to make sure that when we do attack, if I had my defence back here and we win the ball back here, that pass now to break the lines and get the ball in over the top and exploit in, you know, we've got them two strikers that are going to exploit those little movements there into maybe a place where attacking fullbacks have moved from. If we're doing it like this, that is an extremely long pass, difficult pass. If we're a little bit higher up the pitch, that now has gone from maybe a 60, 70 yard pass into maybe a 30 or 40 yard maybe clip into a channel. So completely different. So that's why we've done that. Everything else has been left different. When we're playing against someone else, so a team that are expected to dominate and have a higher field tilt, and, you know, we want to camp teams in. If you think about Manchester City, you know, they want to squeeze up the high up the pitch. They want to win back. Inter Milan do that, but they pick the games and the opportunities to do it. So when they're playing against lower teams like that Salernitana from a couple of weeks ago, absolutely smashing them with that massive field tilt is because they're extremely high in terms of their defensive line. All right, so that is adjustable depending on your opponent, depending on the situation, and trying to exploit that space in behind. And here's a perfect example of an Inter Milan goal. It was one of the games, so working hard in that mid-block. We've waited until they've come in here, and now we can pants. We've got space in behind to play in. There's Dimarco, Bastoni, and then Thuram are going to be a massive part of this goal. So watch how we play. Hakan, look, playing the ball into space. We're trying to be a little bit more direct. Dimarco's on his bike. Bastoni's going to get on his bike as well. Here he is. Look at Dimarco now, pretty much acting as a forward, a left forward. We clip it because we're higher up the pitch. We're going to clip that ball into space. Lovely pass into space. And then it's a cross into the box. Thuram, like the finish is absolutely sublime. But just a little bit of a scenario there of showing you how it is done. Okay, and the next goal is we get a little bit of luck with the actual goal, but you can see how the build-up is important. So obviously, we're quite good in the rest defence generally because we normally have here, like Lewandowski's having to go 3 against 1, and we get the ball down. Hakan's often drifting and comes really deep. Sometimes he drops into these areas of register, which is really cool. plays it into Barella. I think Dimarco's, once again, going to be a massive part, and Bastoni down this left-hand side. So if I just highlight them two, the ball is finally worked out. Lautaro coming off, working, leaving a little bit of space in behind. Centre-halves come out. So there was that maybe that opportunity of a 1v1. You know, you could maybe clip a ball over there to see if Thuram could get on the end of it. But we work it once again down the left. Lovely clip over the top. Look how high Dimarco is. Really coming inside, roaming from that wide position. Cutting it back. No, having a shot. Little bit of a ricochet and we score from it. But really, Dimarco in that opportunity should have maybe squared it across. But we're getting those really good attacking movements and exploiting space left in behind. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you very much for watching. Smash a like on today's video. Always appreciate your suggestions down in the comments as well for future tactic videos. Check out the Patreon. Muchly appreciated. Hope you've enjoyed it. Take care. See you later.